Every single year, millions tune in to CBS to watch the Oscars. We patiently wait to see if our favorite actor or actress walks away with the coveted Oscar, the Golden Statue. Of course, not everyone can walk away with an award. If an actor or actress perform well beyond expectation, then they win. Not everyone, no matter how good they are, wins an Oscar like Michael B. Jordan for his work in Creed. Racism and diversity, two terms that are often extensively addressed over and over again on a daily basis as they are sensitive subjects that can even be seen on shows that millions watch like the Oscars. I would like to refute the New York Times, the Oscars, and Hollywood's race problem as the editorial did make a valid argument regarding Hollywood having a race problem that's being ignored, but was grounded in wrong values and evidence as the editorial was more of a biased attack. The editorial focuses less on the issue that diversity overall is lacking in Hollywood, especially at the Oscars, and more so attacks a problem that is deemed new, but in reality has been existing for years, along with those of white color, while failing to mention that this is an issue for all minorities. So the article fails to establish how this is an issue for all and the changes that should be done. The editorial calls for there to be change, especially for people of color, as Oscars seem to be mostly white people. So it would be wrong to look at this problem without taking into consideration both sides, but all minorities as a whole. One of the first notions of the article that I would like to refute is the idea that the lack of diversity, especially at the Oscars, is an issue that is just recently being addressed, as the editorial states. We identify the problem and discuss it exhaustively, often contentiously, because the problem is significant, pervasive, and for those of us are most affected, the problem is personal. For the second year in a row, no black actors have been nominated. This has been an ongoing issue that has not been ignored but has been addressed in past Oscars as actors and actresses have expressed their views on the lack of diversity. A recent article in Essence magazine, which is predominantly targeted towards those of color, states how we've all been talking about the lack of diversity at the Oscars this year and last, and too many years before that. We can all agree that Hollywood's diversity problem isn't new. Back in the 1988 Oscars, Eddie Murphy was the presenter who made the joke that black actors and actresses win an Oscar about every 20 years. He said that we ain't due for one until about 2004. If the article claims that the addressing of this issue is just now going on recently, those involved should go back and take a look at the Oscars since they first began. The article places personal bias in reference to the viewpoints placed in the editorial by referencing that white actors and filmmakers are being ignorant, as these are the only opinions that count. While it's important to show the flaws of those in Hollywood, it's not telling enough to just state one side of the problem, as the article does fail to address the viewpoints of actors, filmmakers, and producers of other minorities besides the editors. On Good Morning America, Spike Lee shared his thoughts on the cracks in the system by saying, it goes further than the Academy Awards. It has to go back to the gatekeepers. Whoopi Goldberg, even, who is a host on The View, voices her thoughts. Let me tell you what the problem is. It's not that people doing the nominations are too white. The problem is the people who can be helping to make movies that have blacks and Latinos and women and all that. That money doesn't come to you because the idea is that there is no place for black movies. Besides people of colors, other minorities have just an equal take on the problem with Hollywood, as Eva Longoria even has said that she remembers moving to LA and auditioning and not being let in enough for certain roles. As much as the Oscars are predominantly white, who's to say that all are ignorant of the issues when those of other minorities feel strongly about the lack of diversity? Above all else, the article as a whole makes the notion of a lack of racial diversity, but only addresses the lack of black actors, actresses, and filmmakers being credited for their work. When referencing diversity, this should not only be in reference to people of color, which the editor is as this is lack of diversity in Hollywood, and the Oscar does extend to all other minorities, which are just as underrepresented as people of color. According to the LA Times, even mentions how when it's Oscar time, conversations about racial diversity in Hollywood usually focus on one color, black, when Asians are the fastest growing racial group in the nation and Latinos are the largest minority group. According to the latest available demographic study by the Motion Picture Association of America, Latinos are Hollywood's most loyal moviegoers. The LA Times also released statistics showing that minorities are underrepresented compared to the numbers in the overall population by a factor of about 3 to 1 among lead roles in film and among film directors. That ratio is nearly 5 to 1 when it comes to screenwriters. What about the rest of the population? As much as there is talk about black actors and actresses, what about Latinos? What about Asians? All of which are lacking nominations. As the article makes the argument that there is a lack of diversity in Hollywood, this statement does stand true. But the solution should not be to attack others, especially white people, and be blinded by personal opinion. This lack of diversity is not a new issue. People of color have just as much of a say as white, and there is a lack of other minorities. Just as much as people of color are being pushed aside, there are plenty of those that are Latino or even Asian who are crying for change too in Hollywood and in Oscar nominations. I too would like more racial diversity in Hollywood and for more minorities to be represented, but in the right way. We supposedly live in a melting pot that is made up of whites, blacks, Asians, and Latinos who should all be part of the picture. Thank you.
Hey.